So topics that could be on this test that are not really, maybe not even topics, but types of problems. So for the 10-1 to 10-3, as you looked through, did you find any topics or problem types?
21, version of 5. Double derivative.
Second derivative. There will be a second derivative.
Finding in like equation of
Parametric, you mean, right?
So the second derivative of a parametric, can you find the second derivative of the two equations separately and then divide them?
No.
Okay,
No.
So to take the first derivative, combine them, and then find the derivative of that.
Second derivative.
It's like over dx. It's over dx.
Yeah, take the derivative of the first derivative that you found, right? With respect to x. Divide it by dx dt. I'm sorry, this is with respect to t. Take the derivative with respect to t of the first derivative and then divide that by, it's where we found concavity. Concavity wasn't asked for on this, was it?
It says if possible find concavity.
Okay, yeah. So that was the second derivative.
Correct.
But I may just ask you to give me a formula for the second derivative. Anything else?
Finding equations given like vertex and focus.
Finding equations given the vertex and focus. I will not ask you that, but
Awesome.
Thank you.
you're saying of a parabola given vertex and focus. I won't ask that one. What else? Anybody else find anything? I gave you 12 minutes of class time. We found.
But like maybe someone on the directrix.
Yeah, directrix and focus.
You just need to review directrix. Okay.
And then like the formula, like something equals 4p. I'm not sure what that equals.
You're speaking of parabolas.
1 over 4p. The way to find p is.
Yeah, how to put it.
This is like a normal up-down parabola, right? We normally called this 1 over 4pa. So let's just say you have y equals 2, x minus 3, quantity squared, minus 1. What is the vertex?
3, 1, negative 1.
3 comma negative 1. To get that focus, you got to find the p-value, right? So you simply, this is 2 equals 1 over 4p. If worse comes to worse, go back to like cross multiplying. That's pretty much pre-algebra almost, right? Cross multiplying 8p equals 1 divided by 8. So because I know this is an up-down one because the x is squared, right?
Right.
And it is opening up anyway. If I just go 3, negative 1, from that point, I'm going to go up 1/8 unit, right? So the focus, instead of being 3, negative 1, negative 7/8.
So P is essentially the distance between the vertex and the foci.
It is the directed distance between the vertex and the focus.
And
the directrix is simply the opposite of that. So we went up 1/8 to get to negative 7/8. The directrix, because it's horizontal, y equals negative 9/8. 1/8 unit below that. And if I'm sketching the drawing, I still go back to what we did in pre-calc. Right one, left one, up two, to show the stretch. Does that make sense? So in our graphing, you know, the focus, and although the closer the focus is, the more tall and skinny the graph is.
Okay. And then what about a case when, so you get the 2 at the A, but then inside the parentheses, it's like maybe like 3x minus 3, all that squared, but you have to factor out the 3 next to the x to get to find the p?
You'd have to, I mean, typically you're gonna get the problem in a
Right, so
complete,
that's
like,
what
x squared, 3x squared
And then you can factor it out anyway, so it's supposed to
plus
be
12x minus y equals, or, you know, plus 6 equals 0.
And so P is only for parabolas, it wouldn't be for like circle or
P is only for parabolas, yeah.
Thank you.
And what's the other version? What's the right-left version?
X equals 1 4 p
y squared.
8 or x minus k.
Y minus
Sorry,
k
y minus k is
plus h. But in this case, once you found that P, you're going to go right or left of the vertex, depending on if it's positive or negative. All right. What else?
What about finding the vertices of a hyperbola?
The vertices of a
Yeah,
hyperbola.
the whole like rectangle thing.
You gotta go up A, go left, right, B.
Yeah, but
Well, I guess that depends which one's A. Right? If the A is
I mean,
below
once
5,
you've done your algebra on it, and you get it into a workable form, the vertices are only under the axis or whatever that's the positive one, right? If the y squared is positive, this is an up down, and the vertices would only start from the center. What's the center?
2, 0.
2, 0. There's our center. From that center, you're going to go up, down. Those would be the vertices. The square root of 4, right? Because the A value would be 2. The B value would be 3. A simply comes, notice A is smaller than B. In ellipses, A is whichever one is the larger one, right? But
you go up,
Mine's A too.
you go up down by the square root of what's on the bottom.
Up, down by the
Wait a
square
minute,
root.
Wait a minute.
So,
Wouldn't,
I'm confused, wouldn't it be 3
Wouldn't-
then? 'Cause
yeah,
you
wouldn't
go
A-
A units.
wouldn't left
A
and
is
right
the bigger
3 be the vertices? Because it's gonna open left, right?
If the y is squared, if this is
Oh, wait,
the
so y is
positive,
it opens up, down.
it's an up, down one. Even though this one looks like the thought process for the box is right or left 3. And that's where we don't call those vertices, we use those to form the box, right?
And then we find the asymptotes.
And then you connect the corners of the boxes for those asymptotes through the center. Yeah. The asymptotes, I mean, you have to have the asymptotes. You don't have to do the box if you don't want to, but
Find the slope of the asymptotes.
I won't ask for the slope of the asymptotes.
So,
Yes, right.
And by the way, if these had been reversed, this would have been the positive one. Do you see how it would have been a little bit skinnier because the bigger number would have been under the one that it, does that make sense?
And So it's up, down when the y is positive, and it's side to side when the x is positive.
Exactly.
When is the quiz?
Next class.
Next
Tuesday.
class?
Tuesday.
So you went up, I'm just trying to understand this. When we've been doing ellipses, we've been saying that A is the greater unit,
Exactly.
but A is two.
A is from the positive term
So it's what
in
I'm trying to.
hyperbolas.
It's greater because it's positive.
Oh.
That's a negative term, so it's.
Well, anybody know how to find the foci?
Yeah, you two, c squared equals a squared plus b squared.
Yes. So c squared would equal 4 plus 9, 13. Where do those go on the graph?
Up and below the center.
From the center, yeah, it's a number between 3 and 4. We're kind of in the middle, right? 1, 2, 3, and just stick it in there somewhere. 1, 2, 3. There it is. But I could ask you, so what are the two vertices?
2, 2. 2, negative.
What are the foci?
2,
Root 13, and 2,
Now, that was only because this was a 0, right? If that had been a 1, at y minus 1 quantity squared, you would have said 1 plus root 13 and 1 minus root 13. Does that make sense?
yes.
Okay. Anything else? I'm going to go over this review sheet next, but
Like finding tangent line,
equations of tangent lines
at given
at given
points.
points, I will absolutely ask that question.
Miss Washington, is the foci not the vertex distance plus the square root of 13?
No, it's from the center.
Okay. I've been doing that wrong enough.
Repeat that question again.
I thought the foci distance was the y value plus the c value, not just.
Yeah, it is the center value plus the c value. Every time, even for ellipses. Start from the
Oh,
center,
start from the center, not the vertex. Okay.
start from the center, add, yeah. So equations of tangent lines at given, now for parametrics, you could be given a t value, or what else could you be given?
Point. X, Y.
At a point. And the xy point causes you to do an extra step to find the what value?
slope. Well, where that equals.
If this is in parametrics, your derivative only has what in it? T's. So if I give you an xy point,
Find where each.
you have to, you just have to find the t value that corresponds with those. I think the air conditioning cut on. Would you just cut?
You do one of both.
We can find one of both, yeah. So we've moved on to parametrics. There wasn't any calculus on the conics part, was there, really?
No, which was nice.
Which was nice. So parametrics, you want an equation of a tangent line. At a given. So here's one. I feel like I've already done this one. I gotta write up another one. Here's a non-trig one. I'll just combine it. I'm going to get you to write the equations of the tangents at these two given points and when t equals 2. What's your process? Derivative.
Y.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Bless you.
For t to the third. Or no, that's x
dy dx is dy dt
squared.
over dx dt 3t squared plus 1.
Over 4t to the third.
Again,
Now, if the point is 2, 0,
with
we have to figure out the t value, right?
which will be 0.
And
No.
x is 2 if t is 0, true. If t is 0, what does y equal to?
0.
T is 0. That's easy. Right, Garrett? Plug in the 0, what do you get?
1 over 0.
1 over 0, which is a what type of slope?
Vertical line.
It's an undefined slope. Vertical lines are x equals the number, right?
Right.
Y
X equals 2.
what?
Plug in 0.
If I have an undefined slope, right, I know my tangent line, whatever the graph looks like, the tangent line is vertical. And so whatever that x value of that point is where we would draw the vertical line, right? Everybody understand the equation of a vertical line? Okay. All right, what is the t value that gives us 3 and negative 2?
1.
All right, 1 was my first guess for 3. 1 plus 2 is 3, but 1 plus 1 is not negative 2. So t equals negative 1, check that out. Positive 1 plus 2 is 3. Negative 1. I mean, guys, we really could say, solve the little 2 equations. T to the 4th plus 2 equals what? And t cubed plus t equals negative 2. You could solve those equations. But by inspection is what we've just been testing, right? It's just easier. It's actually a system, maybe, kind of. I don't know. Yeah. We got t equals negative 1, right? So what is the slope?
Y minus negative 2.
Negative 1 squared is 1 times 3 is
It's 4 over negative 3.
Negative 1.
4 over negative 4. The slope is negative 1. Y minus y1. Slope x minus x1. Done. All right. Now I gave you the t value. What do you need to find an equation of a tangent line? The point and the slope. We got the t value to find the slope, right? But we haven't found the point. Plug in a 2, what do we get?
18,
18 for x.
10.
2 cubed is 8 plus 2, 10 for y. Everybody with us? Garrett, plug in for us to find the slope of this one. I just plugged in the 2 to the regular x and the regular y. This is just the point, x comma y, right? How about here?
13 over
8 times 4.
2 squared is 4 times 3 is 12 plus 1.
13 over 36.
8 times 4. Everybody agree with that for our slope?
Yeah.
Give me the equation.
Y minus 10 equals 13 over 32, 32, parentheses, x minus 18.
You got it. You got it, girl. It's always y minus y1 equals slope x minus x. I mean, if we moved it over there, it would have been plus. Yeah, that's what we do. You were thinking parabolas. All right. So we did equations of tangents given points, where we had to find the t-value and given the t-value. Anything else? What if I just said find the second derivative?
You would find the derivative of the two equations for x, for dx, dt, and dy, dt.
You-
Divide those two derivatives and then find the derivative of that.
You already have the first derivative.
We can separate it though.
You don't separate it.
Why?
Oh, you're saying you separate it so you don't have to do quotient rule. I agree. So yes, a rewrite would be highly in order, wouldn't it? What would this be? 3/4 t to the what?
-1.
Plus 1/4 t to the what?
E to the -3.
Everybody following what we just did algebraically? I simply said 3t squared over 4t cubed is 3 over 4 with a t on the bottom. But to do derivatives, I want negative exponents, right? This one, 1 over 4t cubed on the bottom makes a negative. So what's the derivative of that?
-3. Or
Bless
e to
you.
the -2.
What's this one?
-3/4 e to the -4.
Everybody good there?
-3/4.
Over dx dt again, which we already had, 4t cubed. Now, if this was multiple choice, I also have my issues with negative exponents, and
No, they're fine.
we can factor out a -3/4 and get rid of those two things, right? What t to the -2 is 1 over t squared, 1 over t to the 4th. How do we deal with this if we needed to get it into a multiple choice form?
Subtract. Don't x1 subtract.
I mean, because you do have, I was going to do a fancy form of 1, but if you do have one single fraction in the bottom, flipping and multiplying, oh, I'll do them two ways. My thoughts were, what's the common denominator here? The common denominator,
T to the 4.
t to the 4th. This was what I was going to originally do, -3/4. T to the 4th over t squared would be plus t to the 4th, 1, over 4t to the 7th.
Don't multiply.
Yes.
Why does that? You don't have
That's
negative
better. It's
exponents.
not fractions within fractions. But let's see, would it give us the same thing? I mean, it wouldn't be a factored form. If we had just taken this one and change, flip, leave the top, change division to multiply, flip the bottom. I mean, it would be -3/4, 1 over t squared. Flip the bottom. What would that give us now?
1 over 4t to the 5th plus
1 over 4t to the 5th plus 1 over 4t to the 7th. And then to get a common denominator, it would have sent us over here, right? So one fancy form of 1 is still more powerful to me. All right. Any others that you looked through and said, we're not doing any of the polar yet, so.
What we do is finding the equation of tangent lines and where the curve crosses the site.
That's polar.
It's on 10-3.
Where the curve crosses itself? Which,
Big 7, 27, 10-3. In that section. I'm fine if they don't do it. But it's in that section.
which problem number?
23 through 26.
Oh, I will not have that. I will not have one.
And then for vertical and horizontal tangents, so you just do like dx equals 0, and like you have to solve for that.
For vertical tangents and horizontal tangents in parametric, what are you going to be looking at? For vertical, because that would be an undefined slope, right? Now, provided that what also does not equal 0. Right. And here. Is it something we should all discuss?
Just little things.
Little things? The little things other people might need to hear? Are you sure? All right. So, it's going to be a long video if we go over the whole review sheet.
Just number 3, at least number 3.
And do 6.
If you show us the answers,
Yeah, do 3.
All right, here's my problem. I took my answer, I have my answer key at north side.
You just do 3 and 6, because we already did 4 and 5 pretty much.
Well, does anyone have answers or graphs that look really neat that we can just put it up here?
mine are okay.
All right.
They're on graph paper. I don't think they're like that. I think I'm missing.
Or Melanie's really neat? All right.
Yeah, I'm
She doesn't want to give them out, but
You don't think they're right?
no, because it's a straight line.
All of them, 1 through 4.
Why?
Wow, look at me, better.
Okay,
Yeah. It's not right, I would.
all right, so for, all right, you did it to the left, but your focus is up, down.
Oh, yeah.
So it should be like left, right?
All right, can somebody tell me what, sorry, can somebody tell me what the, final completed square was?
It's y minus 6.
The square root of x. 8x.
It's just y minus 6 squared minus 8x plus 20 equals 36.
So, this, my final thing that I'm looking for is what does x equal?
It's negative 1/8 parenthesis.
Is it really negative 1/8 or positive 1/8?
I mean, I did it just like setting y equals and then just have the x as the square root. Which is correct.
No, it's not correct.
It's the same thing. What are we writing here? The formula?
I'm writing the formula after you completed the square.
I got
Let's,
It is positive. It's positive. It is.
that 8x can go to the other side and be positive, right?
Yeah, it is positive. 'cause you do
And
the square root.
everything else could stay y squared minus 12y. Leave a space, plus 20. Half of 12 is 6. Add 36 and subtract 36, right? So you should have had 1/8 y minus 6 quantity squared minus 2. So the vertex would have been,
696.
well, actually, it's, is it negative 2, comma,
6, yeah.
6?
On the 6,
Okay,
which is exactly what I got in my formula, which is
it is pretty.
You did it right, yeah.
I heard the equation.
Alright, so on the
You got
test,
the equation right?
Yeah.
All right.
When it comes to visuals.
so on the test, you do not want us doing like y equals like the square root. of-
No.
No,
Okay, even though it's the exact same thing. it's different.
but it would have to be plus minus
At least
for it to be the same thing.
Alright.
So this is 2, comma, 6, so we gotta leave a lot of space. Is it a right, left one? Yeah. Okay,
So on a right, left one, would the foci be to the right of the vertex and the vertex be to the left?
depends on
Where it's placed.
positive or negative.
If it's
Which way it's
opening
opening.
negatively, like if it's
Yeah.
going to the left.
So this is an opening left one, right? I'm sorry, not, it's a right, left one, but because the A is positive, it's opening right. And 1/4p equals 1/8, so what does p equal? 2.
Give me a second.
So the vertex is here, positive 2 for the focus, negative 2 for the directrix. So if I wanted those equations, or the points, 2, 6, focus, 4, 6,
Can we?
directrix.
Why is it 2 positive?
The 2 is positive, should be negative. I did the same mistake.
I was gonna say, cause either you did it wrong here, or you did it wrong when you showed us in class last time.
I did the same mistake in my class yesterday afternoon. And I had to have a boy like explain it to me to remind me what I was doing. So the vertex is negative 2, 6. Move to the right 2 and we get 0, 6. Move to the left 2, we get x equals negative 4, correct?
Oh,
So on this, the foci always adding to the vertex?
The focus is directed depending on your P. Because P was positive on a right-left one, positive goes to the right.
Right, and so if it was negative 2.
If this had been a negative 1/8, it would have been opening left, and yes,
Okay.
and then, guys, the way I think of it is up, down 1, that 1/8. This is a really, really fat one, right? I want it to at least be slightly fatter or slightly skinnier.
Oh, oh no.
Oh, we did it wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a big glitch in the recording. It's going to be like jump and show. Anyway. So, to recap, we found our P because it was positive, and because we knew it's a right-left, you're going to go to the right, the P units from the vertex, right? Left P units to grab the directrix. All right. So, number 2 was an ellipse, correct?
yeah.
What was the center for your ellipse? Let me see.
I just like interpreted.
Oh, okay. Did anybody else draw an ellipse for number 2 correctly?
I don't think I did it correctly, but it's an ellipse.
No, it looks correct. I remember doing it
Well, I
yesterday.
had equal 1/5, so I don't really think that's right.
No, I think you're right. It's a weird one because what did you get when you completed the square?
What, I'm sorry, say that again.
2 squared is 4, but you're really adding 20, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's what I got.
Wait, what in the world? Yeah, factor of 5 out of 20, you get 4, correct? Half of 4 is 2. 2 squared is 4. But I'm really adding 20.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is the weird one. We already have it equal to 1. So that is the weird one. To get this into the good form, we're going to say x minus 2 over what? 1/5
That makes sense.
plus y squared over 1 equals 1. Which one is the bigger?
Why?
The y one is the bigger, right? So this is going to be a vertical-ish one. The center being what? Or, yeah, 2 comma 0, up, down 1 unit. So I'm going to stretch on 2.
A is 1, your B is 1.
1, 2, 3. So the center is 2, 0. Up, down 1. Those would be vertices, right? And right, left, square root of 1/5.
I don't know, something.
Well, the square root of 1/4, y'all, is what? 1/2. Is it larger than a half? I think it's,
Or no?
Should be smaller than 1/2,
yeah. So I'm going slightly less,
bigger than 1/3.
bigger than 1/3, smaller than 1/2, yes.
I did it almost right.
So there's my drawing. What am I missing? What parts of the, we're missing the foci or foci, whatever. What's the c squared equal to?
A plus B. 1/5 plus 1.
A squared minus b squared on
I thought it was
ellipses.
1/5 is the square root.
It's addition for hyperbolas, subtraction. It's the opposite of the equations. Write that down. The c squared, you use minus when it's ellipse, when the equation has a plus, right? What is 1 minus 1/5? 5/5 minus 1/5? Square root, we're going to have 2 over root 5. And so we're going to start at the 0 and go up and down, right? 2 divided by 2 point something is just slightly under 1, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so the only points I'm going to make you write out would be the foci, because if you've graphed it, I'm seeing your vertices. Does that make sense? So that would be 0 plus, 2 comma, plus or minus 2 over root 5. Does everybody agree with that for the 2 foci? Number 3 was a minus. It was a hyperbola. Anybody want to show their hyperbola? We worked on that one really together, didn't we? Yeah. It's a right-left one because the x squared is positive. I agree. It was a perfect, like, box. Oh, yeah, the center was 1/2 1. That was ugly, wasn't it?
1/2 1?
Yeah.
1/2 negative 1. Why do I have y button there?
It is minus y.
It's a minus here. You had to factor it out. And so this became a minus. So it will be minus.
It is minus?
Yeah.
My bad. So you got it.
When you factored out that negative 12 right here, that positive 24 became a negative.
wrong?
So then, you're right.
I'm right, I'm done.
Your foci, we went right and left, square root of 6. So we added square root of 6 to the 0.5, or the 1/2, didn't we? And then we subtracted it. This is a good graph. And the last one was the ellipse. Oh, perfect circle. Perfect circle. And the radius was not pretty, was it? Oh, we don't do this version. For circle,
Yeah, I got there before I realized it was a perfect
Yeah.
circle.
yeah, for the circle, we stop right there, right? And then the radius is just the square root of 8 or 2 root 2, right?
Yes.
Which is a little less than 3, right? Because the square root of 9 is 3. So 1, 2, 3, a little less. 1, 2. I like it. All right. Now, so was the issue, sorry, I didn't get it over there very far. Was the issue for this one, what was there an issue on 1?
I didn't realize. it
What'd
was-
y'all get for the answer?
See?
Everybody agree with C? You know,
I got C.
Yes, I got C.
I did.
Uh-oh.
So I have to say that it is correct.
so x equals 3 times y minus 2 over 2 minus 5.
What happened?
If I multiply everything by 2,
Hold on.
I get 2x equals 3y minus 6
Hold on.
minus 10. So 2x minus 3y. Negative 16 over here would become a positive 16. Yep, C.
Hold on.
C is correct. All right, what do you have to do for the sketching the curve?
Ma'am, you are going way too fast.
Well,
Oh, crap, I definitely.
you were already supposed to have done this. What did you do incorrectly?
That's what I'm trying to
You
figure
made a
out.
chart, I didn't make no chart.
You don't have to do that.
You didn't make a TXY chart?
No.
You got it.
I use my brain.
You have to draw arrows. Did you eliminate it? Did you eliminate the parameter
Yeah, I
here?
eliminated the perimeter.
The problem is you gotta have the arrows.
Arrows?
That's what a parametric curve is. It shows what's happening as t is getting larger.
I'm assuming there's no negative T.
Correct.
Okay. So I just had to draw arrows on my graph.
No, the only reason, how do I know there's no negative t? That's square root. So the smallest we could get.
On this one, 0 doesn't exist, or doesn't work, how do you just not work?
On this one, square root of 0 is 0. 0 minus 5 is negative 5. Square root of 1 is 1. 1 minus 5. Square root of 4, 2. Negative 1. Square root of 9. So 0, negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As t goes, it is a parabola. But you have to show, first of all, that 1/2 of the parabola is gone. If you try to just graph it by eliminating a parameter, you miss the fact that there could be a domain issue, and you miss the arrows. Because as t gets larger, if this was a particle moving, it would be moving that direction, right?
Yeah.
Alright, you're gonna have to show me.
Correct.
3. Now, when we have the trig functions, it's always weird. We have pre-calc stuff that says sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta always equals what?
1.
We also have some conversions that say x squared plus y squared always equals r squared. You know, I don't know about that one because we don't have an r, so I'm going to ignore that one. But because I have sines and cosines, How about if we just square them? What is x squared the same as?
36 cosine squared.
What is y squared equal to?
36 sine squared divided by.
The panel.
So, as we move through, I'm looking at this. How about if we just said, let's add x squared plus y squared? What does that equal in this?
Or 36.
36 minus the C.
Cosine squared plus 36 sine squared, right? Factor out the 36. This equals what? 1. We just solved it, didn't we?
Yes.
36 times 1. So on these, we would simply look for something like that. We'd look for yeah.
What if in my head I'm never gonna be able to do that?
I'm not promising there's going to be a trig conversion on there. I am promising there's going to be a non-trig one on there. I mean, that was pretty easy.
Yeah, it's because
I mean, if it's a trig
They all
like
be
that,
linear
I don't
quick.
mind, but, yeah.
We have
I
one.
just
We
think
have
it's
like one
better
really
to see
dumb,
it
easy problem.
So let's practice. Practice eliminating the parameter on number 2.
Sorry, but my legs are fatigued, so it feels like my bones are aching and it just.
I was more sore.
What if you went no one did last Friday?
I was more sore going into the game yesterday than I am today. No idea why.
So if we're practicing eliminating the parameter on this one, what should we do? T would equal x squared, and so then y would equal x squared minus 5. However, understand, t must be greater than or equal to 0, right? Making x must be greater than or equal to 0, correct? So we would need to kind of restrict that domain.
But it does pass the
True.
It passes the rule. All right. So, dy dx, which one did y'all get? It's one of these 7/8. Was it a negative?
I got C.
I got C. No, I got D. I got D.
I got C.
It was either C or D.
Definitely see.
It's most
What
definitely.
is dy dx? I mean dt? Negative 1. What is dx dt? 1/8 t to the negative 7/8. And t to the negative 7/8 on the bottom of a fraction takes it to the top. And 1 divided by 1/8 becomes negative 8. Yeah.
Yes, it is in fact C.
Leave, change, flip.
You know, simple calculation there. You see what I did there?
What did you get? You didn't do this one, right?
Explain it to me, I'll write it down.
I got
Can I just write it? No, I write it, don't make more sense.
It's close.
So you added 1 to the power instead of subtracting.
So the original, there's the original.
Yeah. Power down in front, lower the power by 1. Derivative, right? So guys, what is dy dx for number 5? Easy peasy.
2T over 1.
Plus 12 over 1. Done. Just 2t plus 12. So d2y over dx2, derivative of that one over 1 is just 2. So at the point corresponding to 1, what is the slope? 2 times 1 plus 2, yes. So at t equals 1, the dy dx equals 14. At t equals 1, the d2y over dx2 equals 2. That drawing is always concave what? Concave up. Arc length formula, people.
The integral of a to b, square root of dy dt squared plus dx dt squared dt. What, I had to tell you.
Beautiful. Great formula. What is dy dt, people? 4t squared. And dx dt is 2t. 2t. It gave us integral 1 to 4. I always feel weird about that. I kind of feel like it should have that, but I've seen them the other way around as well. So, anyway, what is 4t quantity squared?
16t squared plus 4t
What is
squared.
20t squared.
Or just not that.
This becomes a truly easy integral, doesn't it? A square root of 20 times square root of, t squared is the same as the square root of 20 times t. Well, the square root of t squared is plain old t.
Root 20 is
2 root 5, right? That we can pull out. Be careful, all of the, excuse me, sorry to interrupt your conversation. Be careful on this. You spend a bunch of time simplifying. We still have not done what? Integrated. Add 1 to the power.
Divide by the new power.
Divide by the new power. Cancels with that 2, right? Square root of 5. 4 squared minus 1 squared. 16 minus 1 is...
15 root 5.
Got it. Anything else that we need to discuss? This is, it really metrics.
Probably okay.
Great. What in the world?
Oh my God.
What happened?